So is it a horror movie or like an independent artistic metaphorical film? Maybe it's both. It Follows is the name of the movie, kind of an independent film that got picked up and is making its rounds across the nation. It's about a group of kids kind of in the heart of adolescence and what happens when they are stalked by a monster, a killer, and confronted with the truth of how they need to get rid of it. That's about as specific as I can get on this plot. There's a lot that I don't want to give away here because I think it does spoil kind of the experience of this story. I'm going to say right off the bat, It Follows is a notable horror movie. You know, horror movies come and go. They're all pretty much the same. So when one comes about and it's like, oh, this is different, it's something I think to pay attention to, because in that way, the violence and the nudity and the different things that, you know, are often in these kind of movies, they're used here in a way that I can see what the director was doing in the story that they were telling. This is a movie about, in my mind, teenage sexuality. It's about maybe abuse. It's about that confusion that comes with growing up and hormonal changes and all that kind of stuff. And it's a metaphor at its heart. In a movie like this, you want to be able to talk about it with somebody afterwards. And I think that's a good sign when you come out going, man, I want to have a conversation about what this movie meant and what it is. And that's some of the best stuff about the movie, is that kind of metaphorical exploration. And I think you can come in with your own ideas and come away with how this movie speaks to you and what it's really about beyond kind of what's on the screen with the, you know, the It Follows character and kind of the rules of this world, which are kind of interesting actually. And you can come away going, okay, this is what it means to me. I think that's the sign of a very well told story, and this I think certainly is that. It's also technically very well. The camera work in this is done very well. Some of these shots are not only beautiful but very meaningful, and I love it when a director can do that. He can make something not just gorgeous but also really mean something, and that's done very well here. You can see why a lot of attention was paid to this on the kind of the film circuit, the independent, you know, kind of the award circuit, all that kind of stuff. So seeing it, I'm not surprised at all the attention it gets, because certainly there's some really interesting stuff going on here, and very, very creative. I was really, really impressed with both the story and the way it was told. Having said that, it's not perfect. As with a lot of these independent movies, you're going to be dealing with kind of that student film feel, where a lot of the edges are still rough and the acting is a little bit nonchalant and doesn't feel like it sells the characters as well as it could. I forgive a lot of that because of what you're dealing with when you're working on a limited budget and what you're trying to do, but some of that is there. For some, that actually may be a little bit more of the charm of the movie. I don't know. For me, it becomes a little bit distracting. Also a little bit distracting are some of the artistic choices that didn't seem to have purpose. Now, I could maybe have a conversation with someone, they could go, oh no, that's why the director decided to do this. And again, I don't want to spoil specifics. I will just say time frame, you know, kind of era. Specific stuff in this distracted me a little bit, and I'm sure there's a reason, probably an emotional reason, but I'm kind of wondering why some other things were done to short circuit that kind of feeling. And if you've seen it, then maybe we can have that conversation, because it's definitely one I'm interested in, and I know I'm being vague, but I don't really know how to say it more specifically without ruining a lot of the charm of the movie. So anyway, so that's a little distracting to me when those artistic choices don't seem to pan out for any sort of purpose, if that makes sense. That did bug me a little bit. But overall, man, It Follows is a well-crafted film, and beautiful, stunning story, very meaningful, one you want to have conversations with after you're done. But again, a lot of that independent film stuff that you would, you know, kind of deal with just when you're dealing with something that's kind of low budget, those kind of things. So take that for what it's worth. For me, I'd say like B plus, somewhere in that range. I think, and which, by the way, is surprising for me for a horror movie. I'm just not a horror movie fan usually, but this one was something different. It was definitely something different, and something at least to pay attention to, even if you don't go see it. You know, maybe you're squeamish about the violence or the nudity or the, you know, the sexuality of it. I get that, totally get that, but it's definitely one that had, I think, a real deeper meaning. So, so yeah, B plus, somewhere in that range. Thanks for checking this out. As always, I'll give you a few extra seconds to kind of click around and do some stuff here. I'll put the subscribe button right up here. And then over in this corner, there will be just a little eye if you hover over and click on that. Those are called cards, and there'll be cards there for some of the latest reviews. Actually, if you click on it, it'll be just like over in this section. And you can even do that now. It won't stop the video. And it'll be like, you know, reviews that have happened recently, also a link to the Your Movie Friend website. You can also support me with what I'm doing here. If you want to throw a couple bucks my way, I'd appreciate it. Kind of keep this thing going. So you can do all that in the cards there, and even if you're on your phone, if you're holding it vertically, it's cool. They kind of pop up below, and if you're holding it horizontally, you'll see the little eye that you can click on your mobile device as well. So cool stuff. So as always, here's about 5 extra seconds for you can kind of dink around on that stuff and possibly hit subscribe.